Travis Wayne Goodsell. Well, I've got the pre-show loading. We're hoping the Mormon employee took the day off. But I remember at Rick's College, they had the theater there, and as it's a Mormon college, there were many Mormons who get offended over words, who get offended over scenes, and so a couple of guys that ran the theater had the technology and the equipment to go through the films from Hollywood and edit out or bleep out. It wasn't really a bleeping. It was more of able to cut the film and put it back together with the editing. And it's illegal, but they were providing clean entertainment for Mormons. And yeah, there were those of us who were going, wait a minute, don't they have to know, and thus having seen and heard the bad stuff in order to remove it? And yeah, the guys laughed about it. Oh yeah, we're providing a service for Mormons. Yeah, we have to. We're making the sacrifice. It's like a bishop I had in Southern California who told me that if there's anything in your life, any kind of movies or music, and back in my day we had VHS tapes and cassette tapes, and I guess magazines too. Kind of difficult to do in a Mormon family where you're kind of restricted to the home, but nonetheless, there are stories. One my mom caused, but nonetheless. He said that, just put it all in a box and put it on my doorstep, no questions asked, and I'll get rid of it for you. Sure you will. Yeah, give him Little House on the Prairie. They didn't have TV shows yet. That was right around in the 2000s when that first began. I remember my store on Bangerter and 56th. It's now a check cashing place. We were the first ones to implement The Simpsons season 1 on a DVD rental. And we were discussing, should we do each disc separately as a rental or the whole thing as a rental? And we decided to do the whole thing as a rental. Makes it easier for the computer processing and such. But yeah, it was a huge success and generated a whole ton of revenue for our one store, which, like I said, it's now a check cashing place. What happened? Why did Blockbuster purposely trash their business? Algorithms. That's why. But that concept is idol worship. As there's the infamous case here in Utah of people bringing their DVDs to these good, fine, returned missionary Mormon boys, and they would edit out the DVDs to clean them. I believe they even had clean in the title of their business. And Hollywood was suing them for copyright violations. And they were trying to claim, no, it's for people's personal. No, you're going above and beyond people's personal stuff. If you just kept it to personal stuff, you wouldn't be getting paid for it. But yeah, two little jailbait girls destroyed them for Hollywood. Mommy, we got $20. Oops. Well, that's the thing about Mormons, is when they go out and do something bad, and then they confess. Oh yeah, I did something bad. Oh, I gotta be punished. Okay, I'm all better now. Oh, the repentance video that the church put out back in my day. Oh, all you had to say was, no, Bishop, there is nothing in my life that has not been reported with a proper priesthood authority. Nope, nothing. And done. But nope. She ruined her life and her marriage, as they try to say that confession makes everything better, and your fiancé will still love you after you expose yourself as a whore. Just say no. And so this concept of idol worship has been around with the Catholic Church and Christianity and evangelicals especially, in a fanatical manner, in which hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil emerged. You get those three cute little monkeys or chimps doing the monkey see, monkey do thing. And that's where you see YouTube with their policy guidelines. It's all based on idol worship. And it's religious favoritism that is imposing itself onto others who do not believe in idolatry. And then when you get a Mormon employee, when all hell breaks loose. And so it was designed originally to keep people away from other religions. And they would use ad hominem, call the other religions of the devil, and it eventually escalated to the Spanish Inquisition and other atrocities. The Jews also were demonized and chased all over Europe for 2,000 years. All because Christians were led to believe by Constantine that the Jews were the ones who actually murdered their Christ, because Constantine turned the stories using the hero name Jesus, which were apocalyptic literature like the book of Revelation is, into literal history. And because of that, Christians now say, oh, well, it's literal history. That means the Jews are responsible for murdering my Christ, Jesus. And you get holy wars. And so that which the Christians accused in Jews revealed the same and worse fault in themselves. And so when the church prophets lie to us and say we're Christian, that the Book of Mormon is wrong, we are not the learning of the Jews, and Joseph Smith is wrong, that Jesus is an abomination in the personage's sight, that incites Mormons to the same type of hate crimes that Christians and other religions do when they have a false core belief system of idolatry. And so books do not possess you with the devil or possess you with the Spirit of God. Can't be done. You can be inspired either for good or evil. But you can't know if it's good or evil until you experiment and test to find out. And it's supposed to be done when we're children, and parents are supposed to be properly taught themselves so that they can properly teach. Because if you get parents who aren't properly taught, and now they're parents, yeah, they're not going to properly teach. You get those who say, well, I know what's wrong, and so I'm going to teach my kids to stay away from what's wrong. Well, they still don't know what's right. You're doing a fear teaching now. Stay away from that. Don't do that. Don't see that. Don't hear that. Don't say that. It's a thou shalt not system. And you don't know what you're supposed to do. Okay, well, we're not allowed to do those things. What are we allowed to do? Oh, love? Well, why didn't you just say love? The Ten Commandments came from the 42 affirmations from the Egyptian judgment. It's, I have not done this. I have not done that. I have done this. I have done that. A big difference in the way it's worded. And as my sister Tiffany had married a Travis, they were both con persons, con artists, and they were getting a divorce, and so they each needed to get lawyers. And Travis decided that he was going to leave the Mormon church and go to another church. And of course that other church was welcoming and friendly and kind, just like Mormons are at first when you move in. I saw a news report yesterday of Afghans are made to feel safe. Yeah, wait until the missionaries show up at your door and you say, no thank you. Yeah, then you're not going to feel so safe anymore. That's a sad reality here in Utah, as I myself came to learn, and I'm Mormon. How dare I say that Joseph Smith is a translator? And so he would tell the judge that the Mormon religion was influencing Tiffany to harm him and thus harm the children. And thus, for custody reasons, he was using another religion to hurt another person. And so Tiffany got a little bit of her own medicine. And you see that in prisons, where people are locked up for violent crimes, and at their parole hearing they say, well, I found Jesus, or I found Allah. I'm good to go now. No, they're not. When you take away a life, you can never restore the damage. And our court system fails us. Our parole system fails us. Just because they've found Jesus or Allah does not mean that they've paid the price for their crimes. Christians come up with, oh, well, Jesus takes over. He paid the price for your crimes. You're free to go. Yeah, we'll talk about the victims. Oh, well, Christians got that covered too. Hey, you have to forgive. You can't have the damage done to you restored. You have to forgive. Trust Jesus. Simpsons love to make fun of that with Ned Flanders. Ned Flanders' life gets ruined on numerous occasions because he allows Homer to abuse him. And that's not supposed to be funny. It's not supposed to be what we're supposed to embrace for our lives. Oh yeah, I'll do that to my neighbor. That'll be funny. The Simpsons are trying to teach with reverse psychology, so to speak, using satire, exposing the worst of human behavior in a manner that would impress upon our minds this through making fun of it and mocking it. And of course the Simpsons became popular because of a homemaker who was upset that Fox put it on the cartoon time after school. And so her children were watching it, and then she saw it and thought, this isn't appropriate, because she was taking it literally. She was not recognizing it as satire. And so she complained, and Simpsons became a big hit. And now Disney took it over, and it should tank pretty soon here. They won't even post DVDs. The Simpsons for Fox, no DVDs after season 20. Or is it 21? 21. And it took forever to get 19 out. Or was it just 20? I can't remember. I have to check. But yeah, and Disney, they don't want to do anything for DVDs. The Turner and Hooch series or Monsters at Work series? Nope, no DVDs. Screw you guys. Pay to watch. We don't want you to have your own copy, even though you pay for it. So, you know, it's difficult to get any of the Marvel stuff as a result. But, so at conference, what you have are the prophets telling you, oh, stay away from social media, stay away from the news, because they don't teach you the things of Jesus. And they keep saying Jesus, remember? We're not Christian. We're learning of the Jews. Jesus is an abomination because of that whole Constantine thing. And I remember, because it was during my generation where Christians were upset with the first vision condemning Christianity as being an abomination. And so Mormons, you know, oh, please don't hurt us. That Jesus is our Christ too. Yeah, they caved to peer pressure. Worldly wisdom, Mormons caved to and are now pretending to be Christians and saying, oh yeah, Christians are good too. They just don't have all the truth, but there's a lot of good truth and there's good people and blah blah blah. No, you're missing the whole point. What Constantine did in his Nicene Creed was an abomination, which led to holy wars, which led to women getting falsely accused and burned and tortured. You can't let that go. You can't just say, oops. You know, it's great that the Pope apologized for other pastors or priests there in Canada who were involved in murdering the native Indians. That's great that he apologized for the actions of those men who are now dead. But what about for all the atrocities over the past 2,000 years? See, now we'd have to come out and say, hey, we're really not a true church. Jesus really isn't real because he was created by Constantine. And so we've been deceiving you with the tomb of Peter below the Vatican. Yeah, well, there are limits. It's also a legal issue because priests are legally responsible for themselves and their congregation, whereas the Pope separates himself. You know, I teach the priests to do good, but they're on their own. So legally, I'm not liable for the actions of the priests, despite Catholics continually demanding that the Pope be responsible. But in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that's not the case. When a bishop does something wrong, the church can get sued. When a mission president does something wrong, the church can get sued. When a missionary does something wrong, the church can get sued. Even a Mormon, when they do something wrong, the church can get sued. And thus the church created a hotline to call to avoid criminal liability. If you remember that scandal. And so books and things you see, the church doesn't want you to see anything other than what they approve of. And they say it's for your protection because the world is wicked and we need to protect you. But then you start realizing that what they're wanting you to read is incorrect in interpretation, is incomplete, and is incorrectly translated and not decoded fully. And as a result, the church is again doing the beam and mote thing. That which they falsely accuse in others reveals the same and worse fault in themselves. But they love to point to instances where this is true, that idol worship is real, and we must fear it, and so worship our idol instead. You know, the Satanic Bible. Oh no, it's evil. Oh, I've touched it. I'm burning. Yeah, no. The book itself is not an evil thing. The print, not an evil thing. The words in and of themselves, the individual letters of the alphabet, they have no power. To believe they do, abracadabra, is idol worship. What is wrong with what we watch in the movies, with what we see on television, with what we read in books, even if it's scripture, are philosophies, precepts, and they're either false or they're true. And we are not properly taught what is false and true in our school system. We are only taught how to read and comprehend what we read. And for some reason, religion, it's a whole new rule system. Because apparently what you get taught in school is wrong. We don't want our schools teaching our kids to deny the Bible as literally true history, and science telling us that there was no flood in the 3000s BCE. It was 10,500 BCE. But we can't have that because people in the Middle Ages created the dates for the Bible as literal history created by Constantine. See the damage he caused? He calls it literal history, and then people then say, oh, well, if it's literal history, then we can attach a time frame to it. Huh. How long has you been completed? Any comments? No. Everybody's gone silent on me. I had in my dreams from Dawkins. Alright. So, a needle pulling thread. Let's get out of this. La 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 la. I wonder if the church is going to have conference on this. Oops. Wrong one. Yeah. And so when the church gets up and tell you that Jesus is our Christ, but then says that Joseph Smith saw Jesus and Heavenly Father, they are causing harm. Mormons do not understand this. They don't see how they're violating the law of love, as well as lying and deceiving and falling for the lies and deceptions of the prophets. Because in and of itself, Jesus is not a bad word. Bible is not a bad word. But people who get traumatized by religious leaders, that when you say Book of Mormon, all of a sudden they freak out and go into an irate tirade or curl up in a ball and go into shock because of the trauma they experienced associated with idols, when it's actually the people that have been abusive towards them. And those reminders become triggers. So that's what guys do not understand, women, and you need to help guys understand. We aren't taught sex ed. We don't know that when we go on a first date with you, that if it goes well, that you want something to remember that date with. And so an anniversary in your marriage later on, guy doesn't understand that you have associated your love for him with the first date where it was a memorable experience, or the first time, for example. You want it perfect and just the right mood and setting. Guys don't understand any of that. You have to communicate. Talk with us. That which you falsely accuse in others reveals the same and worse fault in yourself. It will destroy a marriage with improper education. And if the church just said in 1923 under Heber J. Grant, we're reincorporating as a Christian evangelical church, such that I would have been born in a Christian evangelical church. No Joseph Smith, no Book of Mormon, none of that. Not even Brigham Young. Heber J. Grant decides, I'm going to start my own church. I'm going to be a Christian evangelical. Great. Would have nothing to complain about, other than I would then find out about Constantine and go, hey, you guys are lying about this. But the church claims to be Christian, evangelical even, and hope that we don't find out, because they order us not to go beyond what they give us to know about Brigham Young, about Joseph Smith. So you got these historians that say, oh, Martin Harris said that Joseph Smith found a rock in his well while he was working for him on the farm, and that Joseph would use that rock in a hat to trick kids into thinking that he can find their lost items that he himself purposely hid, and thus use the rock in a hat to translate the Book of Mormon. And so these historians don't do a thorough job. They don't do anything other than, oh, we found this manuscript by Martin Harris. Must be true. We're going to run with it and condemn the church. And like I keep telling you guys, Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the composition of anything in the Book of Mormon. And so if you say that Joseph Smith is a liar and the Book of Mormon is evil because he lied about it, you're not getting the whole story. You're basing your conclusion on incomplete premises. And that's a fallacious argument, an unsound argument, and you need to dismiss it. You need to find out the truth before you go around spreading your conclusions, because you're going to lead to a holy war. It goes both ways. Both sides need to learn the truth, and nobody wants to learn the truth. And so words matter, but not in and of themselves. It's the precept behind them, that when it's false, it's dangerous. when it's true, it literally is salvation. Because people can be blessed by those who follow correct precepts. Love. So don't get hung up on you're Mormon, therefore everybody else is wrong, and Travis is wrong, and I'm not going to listen to him, and I'm going to put thumbs down, and I'll show him by destroying his life. And ex-Mormons, oh, no, Travis, you're wrong. Joseph Smith, he was a polygamist, and he was racist, and he wrote the Book of Mormon, and all these other false accusations, and then justify cancel culturing me. You're not seeking the truth. You're letting emotions rule you. You're letting people brainwash you by not finding out the truth. Just believing whatever you're told. And the church preys upon you for that. And psychologists prey upon you when you come out of the church. Psychologists prey upon people after a traumatic event. They're vultures. And so, yeah, you see Bill Maher going after both Democrats for their segregationism, claiming equality for all, and Republicans for, oh dear God. But he put it into perspective last night in his new rules about the older Democrats versus the newer Democrats, who think the older Democrats are snowflakes, and have cancel cultured Liz Cheney and others of the older Democrats. But it's done everywhere in our culture because of psychologists. The whole field is corrupt, and they utilize that manipulation of word usage, changing definitions, leaving things out to let people put in what they want to put in sentences that are spoken. For example, Benson, in his To the Youth of the Noble Birthright, Mormons all believe, he said, that we're not allowed to watch R-rated movies. And so thus, the Ricks College, hey, I got an idea, let's edit movies, and it'll be PG, good to go. No, he didn't say that. And I've been in debates on the Deseret News before, and the Deseret News censored me and pulled all my stuff down, leaving the one girl to say, you're wrong, he said this. And I know what he said. You weren't listening. You heard what you wanted to hear, not what they actually said to us. He conformed with Article of Faith number 13. But in his quoting from the Miracle of Forgiveness, which was a quoting from a talk given by Elder Packer, being pregnant is a pernicious evil. Everybody missed that one. But yes, the prophets are sexist. You have to be someone's slave in order to be approved for your evil pregnancy. But that's how they think. They are literally evil, and they purposely manipulate you with the manner of speech and the manner of the placement of the words in the sentences and the use of the type of words they use. They use vague words, trigger words. They'll say Jesus and then say, oh, you're a light bearer. Do you know what light bearer is as a word? I'll give you a hint. It comes from the Latin. It was first put in the Latin Vulgate edition of the Bible. It's in our Book of Mormon. Yeah. And yet Uchtdorf in 2017 came out and said to the priesthood, "You're light bearers." Holy crap, he just called us Lucifers. So you gotta pay attention. When he called everybody lazy learners, I caught that he was telling us he's the Antichrist. Because he was denying the Christ. But you guys missed that because you got distracted with lazy learners. You're going to see that in conference. There will be a whole mesher splits of stuff for me to use for videos forever that YouTube and the church are going to be upset with. But they said it, not me. You know, they've learned English. They've learned English grammar. They've learned English comprehension. But they get pissed when we expose them. They want us to just be submissive and conform and comply to what they are really telling us to do, which is to leave them alone to commit crime and give them our money. So that's the danger. And if you cannot recognize that, then you're just like a little kid who's so impressionable by a Disney movie that they demand everybody call them a princess or I don't know, some lion or pelican or whatever. And, you know, okay, Mufasa, come and have dinner. And that's the only way you can get him to come to dinner is if you call him Mufasa. Or Simba. Or Princess. Come on, Ariel. Let's have dinner. You gotta wash your clothes. But yeah, there's a commercial for Tide or Cheer or whatever laundry soap where the girl is a princess and she wears her princess outfit all the time. So it's a big traumatic experience when it has to be washed. But yeah, you're behaving like little kids when you demand to be called Christian and you demand to be called a Mormon, but not Mormon, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because Jesus is angry when people use nicknames. Do you see what he did there? He incited Mormons to hate, but what he was really doing was rigging the algorithm of all social media and the internet. It was a con job, and all of you fell for it. As my neighbor, he ruined a friendship because he was a religious bigot. You keep calling me a Mormon and the Mormon church and LDS church. Jesus is angry. You don't belong here. You need to leave. Okay, well, I'm never going to associate with you again because you're a hater. He still will not restore the damage he caused because the church told him to hate. He ruined the friendship. They're ruining your marriages. They are ruining your relationships with other people. They're ruining your careers. They are destroying your lives. Because you do not understand, it's not about the idols, it's about the precepts. The lies, deceptions versus truth. Science, sound, truth. They want to hurt you and turn you into criminals. So cut it out.